everybody, this is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where I'm at a Tiki Bar, and I am with a good friend of mine, who you might know, and I don't know if you can see him. Can you see him? I don't know if you can. You might have to write it. Okay, so that's my friend Ian. You might remember Ian from the AV Geeks After Dark, and from the 1000th episode. Ian's a longtime friend and helped me collect a bunch of these films. And so anyways, we're at a Tiki Bar in Austin, Texas, and we're doing drinking delicious fruity drinks with rum. And so today we're going to watch films about Hawaii and Bali. Enjoy.
Hawaii's famed volcanoes are the most spectacular and yet the most readily accessible in all the world, and offer a magnificent view of nature's greatest power display. They are the legendary home of the fire goddess Pele. The date is February 28, 1955. And for the first time in over 100 years, a violent eruption is underway in the Puna district on the island of Hawaii, about 200 miles over water from Waikiki Beach and the Honolulu area on Oahu. This eruption touched the lives of 1,000 people, destroying homes and valuable lands, yet there were no deaths. The mighty lava fountains and rivers have erupted on the East Rift Zone of Mauna Loa, a mountain that is the greatest single accumulation of lava on Earth, over 10,000 cubic miles in all, built up by countless eruptions down through the centuries. A rare sight as a volcano erupts in the backyard of a home with devastating results. Lava boulders as large as a house are carried along on the crest of the river. These are formed by large sections of crater rims breaking off, or maybe a portion of a lava river bank, which has been undermined. Hawaii's volcanoes have a fascination for all. It is quite true that the natives and tourists alike run to and not from the eruptions. Yet, they all have a deep respect for the fire goddess Pele, who, according to legend, is responsible for the volcanic activities, for they will occur whenever she returns to one of her many homes on the slopes of Mauna Loa. The lava rivers that flow over the land cause most of the damage. They may move swiftly, or they may just inch along, but nothing can stop their forward march. This once beautiful palm grove is doomed to a fiery death. The soft rustling of the trade winds through the palm fronds has forever been stilled by the incinerating power of the lava flow. Each tree dies with majestic grace. This eruption continued for 88 days. One of the lava rivers soon reached the ocean and formed a fire fall. The molten lava, tumbling over the cliff, drops into the ocean, and great explosions occur. This is visual evidence of how the islands were formed, for as the lava cools, it now becomes a part of the land, slowly adding more and more shoreline. Five years have passed, and now on November 14th, 1959, another great eruption started. As viewed from the air, at its start, at least 7 different crater mouths were spewing forth lava in fiery fountains. This time it occurred in the great caldera of Kilauea, high up on the slopes of Mauna Loa. Once again, Pele had returned dramatically to another of her many homes. Daring and resourceful cameramen descended into the crater area, proceeding across the newly formed lava lake, which had crusted over, to photograph these fantastic scenes. Note how this huge lava boulder has formed a perfect image of the head of Pele. She seems to speak as lava moves across the lower portion of her mouth. Bart Carter, award-winning volcanic photographer, moves in for a close-up shot. Visitors at the famed Volcano House on the rim of Kilauea Crater were among the first to reach the eruption area, for Kilauea Iki was just a short distance away, and rangers of the National Park Service designated places of safety for the volcano watchers. Three days after the start, the eruption again gained in fury, and fountains spurted to a height of 1,150 feet. In a week's time, the pool of lava in the crater was 300 feet deep, and had buried the vent from which the fountain had been spurting. This action continued unabated through a series of 16 eruptive phases, each lasting from 2 to 32 hours of life. Cinders fall continually and devastate the surrounding area, and the nearby Park Road is buried under the black deluge. Activity goes on, and at one point, a record fountain height of more than 1,900 feet was recorded. This resulted from an unusual amount of gas present in relation to the amount of liquid lava coming out. Great whirlwinds are generated by the intense heat and swirl upwards in menacing cycles. You may wonder about volcanism. How does all this happen, and why? If you will keep in mind that underneath the great caldera of Kilauea, a giant sort of plumbing system exists. Now, this pipeline or conduit system leads downward toward the great pools of magmatic matter that lies beneath the surface of our Earth at depths up to 40 miles. This fluid matter is restlessly moving about in some unexplained manner, and its motion is indicated by the seismograph instruments on the surface in the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory on the crater's rim. Its presence, in increasing amounts, is measured by an elaborate system of tilt meters, also designed and installed by the observatory at strategic locations on the mountain. Now, these instruments are capable of indicating just how much the ground is tilting in one direction or another. This is of great importance, for preceding an eruption, the area swells, much like a balloon being inflated, and this produces an outward tilting and is indicative that the magma is rising and can result in an outbreak. After an eruption, the swelling stops and the tilt becomes measurable inward. Another indication of the movement of lava through the conduit is the increasing number of earthquakes recorded and the frequency. Location and depth serve as still another indication of the coming of Pele. She is a fiery yet gentle goddess, for Hawaiian volcanoes are characteristically non-explosive. The lava is of high fluidity and of low gas content. Thus it escapes in the form of fountains without undue explosive violence. Its fluidity also results in high speeds of lava river flow, and it reaches speeds up to 35 miles an hour under certain conditions. Before Kilauea Iki died, it had built a conical hill 150 feet high and had left a pumice blanket 5 feet deep, half a mile from the vent. When it was all over, on December 21st, the lava pool in the new crater was 380 feet in depth and contained over 51 million cubic yards of lava. We end our trilogy of Hawaii's volcanoes with the Puna eruption on January 13, 1960. Following earthquakes, giant cracks appeared in the village of Kapoho, and residents started evacuating. At 7:30 p.m. in the valley, just behind the town, the eruption started from a rift a mile long. Fountains sent lava cascading over the land, and some of it encountered underground water, resulting in great explosions of steam and throwing lava chunks high into the air with a roar of 100 jet engines at full power. The stores of the village of Kapoho were hastily abandoned as the fountains danced in the nearby valley and cinders poured over the area. The lava rivers headed down toward the ocean a short distance away. But first, they cross the papaya groves, leveling them. To divert the flow, but it was an impossible task. Orchid growers saved many of their valuable plants from the menacing flow as the caretaker's home goes up in flames. On and on it moves relentlessly, and a giant stand of palms falls victim to the searing heat. Hawaiians have their own phraseology for parts of the volcanic activity. When a lava river separates into two parts and then again reunites, it leaves a piece of land, much like an island. This is called kipuka. And there are many of these on the slopes of Mauna Loa. A smooth, ropey or billowy type of lava flow has an equally smooth-sounding name, pahoehoe. The rough, spiny, and pebbly surface of lava, which is difficult to walk on, is called a'a. While not all visitors are privileged to witness an actual eruption, there are many places where volcanic manifestations are evident. The great sulfur banks near the Volcano house can be inspected at close range. One may stumble across a real find, a piece of olivine, sort of a volcanic diamond, or maybe a lock of Pele's hair, or explore a lava tube like Thurston's, where you may walk through a lighted tunnel in which liquid lava once coursed in centuries past. For 36 days, the fury of the eruption continued, and the once peaceful village of Kapoho was surrounded by an inferno. Closer and closer our cameramen worked their way, and these breathtaking scenes of the fountains and fast-flowing lava rivers are evidence of their daring. For remember that the temperature may reach 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit, and the surrounding air is superheated to an extreme degree. But once the volcano bug has bitten you, you're attracted by the magnetic presence of Pele, and you plan your approach to her fiery court with great care. Before Pele was to leave, she gave her greatest demonstration of power. Kapoho soon turned into a ghost town with only charred embers of its buildings remaining. It is only on the island of Hawaii that Hawaiian volcanoes are active in our time, and its main cities have been built with respect to the possibility of eruption. Pele takes away, yet she also gives, and her sweeping lava flows enter the ocean to form new land along the coastline of Hawaii. The hot lava is cooled by ocean waves, and vegetation soon starts. Before many months, the tiny lichen and ferns have found root, starting another life cycle on the ever-growing island of Hawaii.
Nestled among the Netherlands' East Indies, some 8 degrees south of the equator, lies the tiny island of Bali. No larger than the state of Delaware, Bali has more than 1 million inhabitants. As irrigation engineers, the Balinese have no equals. Their rice fields, called sawas, are piled one on the other like giant flapjacks. In these fields, the Balinese men are supreme. They do the plowing and the planting, taking 3 crops a year from the rich volcanic soil, as against only 2 crops in neighboring Java. Following each harvest, all rice straw is carefully preserved. When dry, it's used as roofing, both for dwellings and for village walls. It's also used as fuel to fire the native potteries. Except in the rice fields, Bali's women do most of the island's carrying and building. They handle all the produce, do all the buying and selling. They not only operate the markets, they're also the island's bankers. Though Bali has belonged to Holland since 1908, it still uses mostly brass money with square holes in the center, brought in by Chinese traders centuries before the Dutch arrived. From long years of carrying burdens on their heads, Bali's women are firmly and harmoniously developed. They walk with a swinging, easy, rhythmic movement. Straight as arrows, they're supple as willows, both slender and graceful. Motion is as great a part of their charm as is perfect line and bewildering color. Without doubt, they're the world's most captivating brunettes. While quite young, many Balinese girls open their own wayside shops where they sell betel nut, soft drinks, and shreds of sweetened tobacco to friends and passers-by. As they grow older, some set up portable restaurants, generally near one of the many temples, grinding together peanuts and shredded coconut. Then the mixture is heaped on a handful of warm rice and served on a piece of banana leaf. This plump consumer is a rarity in Bali, since few of the island's inhabitants ever take on extra weight. Of Bali's industries, pottery making is one of the most practical, but just as important to the men are these wicker cages in which they sun their fighting cocks. Here's a young man peddling corn stalks and taking time out for a pause that refreshes. Made Ponte is the island's most accomplished woodcarver, an art at which the Balinese excel. For 35 guilders, that's about $19, Made will carve your statue out of the native tawas wood. Since tawas is light in weight as well as color, he can do the job in 6 days, requiring only 2 one-hour sittings per day, provided you also supply him with a photograph from which to work between sittings. Since Made never overlooks the smallest detail, the result is usually a surprisingly good likeness. When a Balinese baby reaches the age of 6 months, a purification ceremony is held. First, the child's jewelry is placed in a bowl of holy water. Then the mother takes the freshly bathed infant to a Hindu high priest called a padanda. While ringing a tiny bell, the padanda chants softly in ancient Sanskrit, meantime sprinkling the child with more holy water. Finally, he gives her the musical name of Randi. After being placed in a cradle, as her first acknowledgement of home, Randi is put on the ground to acquaint her with the Mother Earth, and in a rooster cage to signify the farmer's life she's expected to live happily and successfully. Bali's diminutive horses have bathing places exclusively their own. So have the lumbering carabaos, or water buffaloes. But to ducks, Bali is like a corner of heaven because of the many rice sawas. As ducklings, they're taught to follow that little white flag. When in the fields, they never stray out of its sight. And when day is done, they follow it back home again. After each harvest, the Balinese make offerings of fruit to their rice goddess. These high tiaras weigh up to 100 pounds and contain such strange tropic fruits as the mangosteen and the duku, the rambutan and the mango. At the village temple, both the giver and the gift are blessed with holy water. Being a practical people, the Balinese believe that since the rice goddess is a spirit, she feeds only on the essence of the fruit. So the worshippers return the offerings to their homes and eat the fruit themselves. In other ways, too, the Balinese are highly practical. When the Dutch inquired a few years ago what they wanted most, they asked for public schools. When they got them, the pupils gave up their native dress and began to play European games. Later, a network of modern bus lines was introduced. Then, a new moving picture theater was built. Soon, the Balinese were traveling from one end of the island to the other. They even opened a beauty parlor, though customers are scarce. But the old Bali, the real Bali, hasn't changed a bit. Hideous demons still stand guard at the crossroads to frighten away evil spirits. And the dances are still the most rhythmic and the most spectacular in the Orient. This trio is on its way to perform the Legong, the most etherealized and feminine of all Balinese dances. According to legend, the Legong originated in heaven, where it was danced by divine courtesans. One of the girls represents a beautiful princess, while the other is her despised suitor, a king. Time and again, the king tries to force his attentions on the princess. During those scenes, they both dance with great animation. After several vain attempts, the king grows impatient and finally comes to the princess disguised as Rangda, a terrifying witch. To a Balinese, Rangda represents dread magic, so the princess attacks and eventually slays the witch. Most dances in Bali are designed to expel evil. One of the most dramatic is the Ketjak. It's also called the monkey dance, since half its 150 performers represent monkeys. The other half are demons, whose leader is exhorting them to attack. 1 minute, the rhythmic chanting sounds like the rooting section of an American football game. The next, it's like the solemn intoning inside some great cathedral. Finally, Limbak, the monkey leader, leaps out of the swaying crowd. With powerful gestures of curving arms and long tapering fingers, he sounds the monkey battle cry. Suddenly, the monkeys spring up, attacking the demons with wild, inarticulate cries. Then the demons rise, hissing, yelling, wailing, until finally, the monkeys are driven from the temple. Undoubtedly, the greatest artist Bali has yet produced is a rare musical genius named Mario. In 1930, Mario originated this dance, which he called the Bar, meaning to explode. It opens with a series of crashing chords by the gamelan, or orchestra, after which Mario interprets the changing moods of the music with eloquent movements of face, hands, and body. Throughout the performance, Mario responds to the syncopation like a charmed cobra. At times, he even looks as if he were leading the orchestra. Actually, he's only construing the moods of its rippling melodies. No longer a professional dancer, Mario is now a teacher. Here he is showing Jandre how to dance the Bar. Though only 7, by the time Jandre is 15, Mario predicts he'll be the greatest dancer Bali has ever produced. That's a large order, since Bali has always had more than its share of artistic talent. But that's as it should be. For the little island is so enchantingly beautiful that the Balinese have a way of saying, we'd rather be dead in Bali than alive in heaven.
The purpose of this focus and sound level adjustment leader is to help achieve theater quality projection before the show starts. First, focus the lens carefully on this chart. Now adjust sound volume and tone control. If the room is empty, keep the volume a shade high. That's all. Shut off the power when the white dots flash on the screen and the picture will be in starting position. Thank you.
say that for every man there are two worlds. A routine world of familiar scenes and places, and a world of beauty and adventure that is waiting just a little way beyond his doorstep. Polynesian sailors in their hollow log canoes came 2,000 miles and more across the sea from Tahiti to reach the sheltered harbors of their paradise of the Pacific. To the trading ships and whaling fleets that followed, these were the fabled Sandwich Islands. And to those of us in whom the spirit of adventure still lives today, here is our other world of beauty and adventure, here in the lovely islands of Hawaii. Islands that seem so far away, and yet lie only 8 short hours westward from the mainland. Planning a journey to adventure is an easy thing to do when adventure is there waiting only hours away. In the smooth, clear air at 20,000 feet, even the speed of the fastest plane seems like just an easy pace, and distance has no meaning. There's lunchtime in the clouds, and if you're old enough, champagne. And then, perhaps, a letter to a friend who had to stay at home. If you were on this flight, you'd meet the junior pilot and his family who didn't stay at home in Boston or New York or in your own hometown. You might meet the bachelor who brought his appetite due west from Pittsburgh. Then soon, together with the others from Denver and Chicago, you too would see Diamond Head, landmark of 1 million voyagers rising from the sea, and the long white beach at Waikiki gleaming in the tropic sun. In hours less than the time between breakfast on the mainland and dinner in the islands, you'll find out for yourself the true meaning of aloha and the warmth of a real Hawaiian welcome. Now, for yourself, you'll see that hula girls are just as graceful as you thought they'd be, and that the fragile lays of greeting are as lovely as the pictures you used to gaze at wistfully back home. Aloha nui loa, we're glad you're here and want to make you welcome. Every day, large DC-6B air coaches join the speedy DC-7s on the highway to Hawaii. The low-cost coaches make thrifty use of flying time, and inside their roomy cabins, flying time is mealtime, too. Some might think that those who come here to Honolulu are more fortunate than other people, but not really. It's just that those nice girls who work in the office right down the hall from yours, and all the others flying with them, have decided that now is the time, this is the year, the week, the day, that they would find their own world of beauty and adventure on their holiday in Hawaii. Wonderful Waikiki is the resort area of the city of Honolulu. And here in Waikiki is where hotels and palm trees meet the sea. To resist the lure of sun and sand even long enough to just unpack takes more than normal strength of character. Tropical anthuriums remind you that when it's always springtime, Indoor and outdoor living blend into a gentle pattern, and rare is the room without its own lanai that overlooks the panorama of sand and water, with Diamond Head a painted backdrop in the distance. As you shed your city clothes, you shed your worries too, and mainland tensions are soon gone with the tropic breeze. The younger set can always find a Pied Piper friend to follow. The beach holds magic for the young in age as well as for the young in heart. And the sun is an old, warm friend who is always at your side, here on the sand, or relaxing with you at the pool of your hotel. And what at first might seem to be sheer luxury is really just expansive living, not expensive. And where it's June 12 months a year, it's always outdoor weather for playing, or for resting, or for dining on your own lanai. And if even on vacation your gang still prefers the taste of Mom's home cooking, well, you can find a perfect setup both for them and for her, too. No matter where you're staying in the islands, the same wonderful feeling of relaxation stays right with you like a faithful shadow. But when you make your plans for dining out, whoever you are, wherever you go, if you want that shadow to stay slim and trim, just a friendly word of caution. Every restaurant and hotel dining room in Honolulu has joined in a conspiracy to test your willpower. Appetites, sharpened out of doors, get razor keen when tempted by the master chefs. And it takes a good man or woman to keep the Battle of the Bulge from turning to a rout. And if you want to leave the beach for just a little while, it's only one short step outside your hotel door to Kalakaua Avenue and its attractive shops of Oriental and Hawaiian fashions. Here on Waikiki's Fifth Avenue, even a staunch down east conservative can lose his inhibitions, and walking in like this, come out like that. The bright gay prints of island fashions, so perfect for that outdoor look of informality, and yet so easy on the budget, have brought Hawaiian styles to prominent positions in the mainland's finest stores. But though playing on the beach is fun, the greatest playground isn't ground at all. So lend a hand to launch that swift outrigger canoe. There are experienced eyes and arms to guide you and help you paddle smoothly out to join the others, out where the waves are rolling in. Talk about riding the crest of a wave. This is really living. There was a time when surf riding was a sport reserved for royalty alone. But now even a malihini, that's a visitor, can learn in just a single day how to stand on and how to ride a surfboard. The gentle art of perfect balance is the hardest part to learn. That board isn't quite as steady as it was back there on the sand. Hold it. Hold it. But then when it's time to catch a wave, suddenly there you are, feeling the thrill that comes once in a lifetime, the first ride in. Speed and balance and perfect poise make surf riding surely one of the most graceful of all sports. This little fella's got nothing else to do all day except run up and down the beach, begging for just one more ride. playground of the daytime, at evening becomes a background for your pleasure too. It's true there's magic in a tropic night with many things to see and many things to do. So try that tropic white for size. Looks good. Or hurry out to meet your dates and see the sights. Perhaps Don the Beachcomber himself will help you solve the mystery of the elusive chopsticks and convince you it's the only way fine Polynesian morsels should be eaten. It might be slow, but the night is long and no one's in a hurry. Polynesian food, and later on a Polynesian fire dance while you sit and watch beneath the stars. When stars grow smaller in the sky, sometimes the greatest fun of all is just talking over what you've done and making new plans for tomorrow. On one of those tomorrows, you'll probably be starting on your visit to the neighbor islands that are so close to Honolulu and yet so truly different that each one adds its own romantic charm to your holiday in Hawaii. Kauai, called the Garden Isle, is only 30 minutes from Honolulu Airport. Here in 1778, Captain Cook first landed on his voyage of discovery. And today you'll find the island of Kauai still in many ways unchanged. The sailing ships may have turned to flying ships. And swimming pools may dot the lawn where once a patch of taro grew. But the tropic air is still as gentle as it's always been, and the trade winds stir softly in the trees. The charm and old traditions of Hawaiian living blend smoothly with more modern concepts of comfort and convenience. Here before your eyes, pages and full chapters out of some romantic South Sea Island novel take the form and substance of reality. And words of fancy and imagination are suddenly no longer merely words alone. For just outside your lanai screen, the bright hibiscus in the hair, the cocoa palms and still lagoon are very real indeed. And in this legendary land, it is only simple logic that the legends of the past should still be alive today. They tell the story that a spear tossed by a king bored right through that mountain wall and gouged out Great Waimea Canyon as it came to rest on the other side. They'll tell you, too, that this garden isle is favored by the Menehunis, the little men who worked by night to build fish ponds for the kings. And nearby, you'll find the playground slide of ancient kings, worn smooth as finest marble by the cool, clear water of a mountain stream. When you look down on the valleys of Kauai, you know how it earned the name of Garden Isle. Hanalei Valley is Kauai's vegetable garden, whose taro fields yield the makings of that island staple, poi. And all around us lies the sea, whose calm and well-stocked waters can give anybody's fishing tackle a real workout. But you won't need your tackle on the day a school of fish is sighted in the bay. Everybody in the village comes a wheelin' and a dealin', down to the beach to heave-ho on the lines. Visitors and tourists and everyone in sight are recruited to help haul in a catch they hope won't be too heavy for the net. This is a hukilau, a community fishing party, the exciting Hawaiian equivalent of a New England clam bake. For a fisherman, luck can be good or not so good. But fortune's always smiling. In the evening, by the glowing embers of an outdoor fire, when a tribal drum sounds the call for dinner. It's nighttime in the islands, and you are really here. charm and pageantry in Polynesian dining, and always there is music. On our island hopping tour, the wide view windows of the plane are really picture windows for photographers. The island of Maui, called the Valley Isle, is southeast of Oahu and is also only 30 minutes from Honolulu. By now you can be certain sure that there's a swimming pool at every stop, and outside, a waiting limousine. Island guides are a type all their own. A wonderful combination of historian, entertainer, infallible source of reliable local gossip, and incidentally, expert driver. Iao Valley winds its way between the mountains and past the 2,200-foot pinnacle of its famous needle, threaded by a waterfall. In the fertile lowlands of this well-named valley island, fields of sugar cane nod gently in the breeze. Flowers line the road as it winds slowly toward the sea at Old Lahaina. Though once the lusty, brawling landmark of whaling fleets and trading ships, Lahaina has long since settled down to the more picturesque status of a charming plantation town. But Maui's greatest landmark lies a few miles to the south, the largest crater in the world, mighty Haleakala. Actually a mountain almost 2 miles high, from whose rim you can descend some 2,000 feet into a land of fantasy that makes it America's most unusual national park. Flying on toward Maui's Hana coast, the landscape passes in a series of moving picture postcards. The trip to Hana, when made by car, is no less spectacular on a road that winds along the seacoast into yet another almost private paradise. And some evening on the mainland, when you let your thoughts start wandering from the tensions and routine, then remember Hana and let them wander here. Once, only thoughts and wishes could have wings. But now, wherever they start flying, we can fly there too. Maui's next door neighbor on the map, Hawaii, is the Big Island, larger than all the other islands put together. There's nothing small about the Big Island, from its rambling sugar mills astride the coastal cliffs to the changing panorama of the Hamakua coast. At Hilo, Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, in the distance, tower almost 14,000 feet above sea level. Although Hilo is the second largest city in the islands, it holds first place in the world for its fabulous outdoor orchid gardens whose exotic blooms reflect all the varied colors of an earthbound rainbow. In the art of orchid lei making, and it is an art rather than just a business, Vanda orchids by the hundred are strung into intricate designs. And it's really fun to enjoy the luxury of orchids without feeling you're the least bit extravagant. Orchids by the hundred. And at the famous orchid pool, orchids by the thousand. Nature still has the greenest thumb of any landscape architect. On any island, all roads soon lead to the sea, but only one road leads to Kalapana, where the rolling surf sweeps up upon a gleaming black sand beach. The road across the island of Hawaii takes you to the strange wonderland of a tropical fern forest, and then brings you to the coast again at Honaunau, where Hawaii Nei, Old Hawaii, is still in many ways unchanged. Here along the fabled Kona coast, time holds up a mirror in which a living image of the past is still reflected in the simple charm of friendship. And agile island athletes still harvest coconuts with the same skill as their fathers. Opening a coconut is quite a trick. Ask anyone who's tried it. Eating it comes easy. And all along the Kona coast, the art of living comes real easy too. Just as it always has since royalty of Old Hawaii built a palace on the shore here at Kailua. Nowhere else in all the world does relaxing in the sun come quite as naturally or seem the only sensible thing to do. And the only way to tell it's June or January is by looking at the calendar. The changes, though, have been but few since the mission church was built 100 years ago. The whole town still goes faithfully on Sunday. And then on Monday, from flower-covered cottages, the fishing nets come out again. Down in Coral Gardens, a modern skin diver stalks his quarry like a visitor from outer space. Here is an underwater candid camera shot of a very well-known character, the one who got away. Well, for at least a little while. For every fish that's brought to gaff, a larger one is waiting. A catch like that belongs in anybody's picture album. But when your ship comes in with that marlin pennant flying, the album had better be the king-size variety. You've heard fish stories, but this is really seeing one. Another page of that snapshot album belongs to pictures of your first luau. The flowers placed on woven mats, heated rocks deep in a pit, are all a prelude to the delicious taste sensation of kalua pig. That's roast pork in traditional Hawaiian style. There'll be lomi-lomi salmon, pipi kaula made of beef, breadfruit, yams, and lau-lau. Strange sounding, but good tasting. You'll hear a lot of talk about that island delicacy called poi. Eating it with fingers is perfectly good manners. Poi is strictly an acquired taste, but once acquired, good. And then it's evening at Kona. A torchlight flickers in the tropic breeze, and on the beach a girl is dancing. And over at the hotels at Waikiki, there's moonlight dancing too. Nightlife here in Honolulu is more cosmopolitan than on the neighbor islands. Here, the culinary art of master chefs, or in an oriental tea house, delicacies prepared right at the table, in keeping with the honored concepts of Far Eastern hospitality. And always there's the hula. The graceful movements of the dancers' hands are describing for us now all the beauties of a farewell trip around this island of Oahu. The scenes described for us tonight are there for us to see from high up on the Nu'uanu Pali. And when it's time to think of parting, there are many things you will remember about your holiday in Hawaii. Some that can be seen, and others only felt. And there are many little parts of this Hawaii that can be carried home. Exclusive items from the finest shops, or homemade tokens offered by some friendly youngsters. But the part you carry home that will last the longest may be the recollection of a carefree smile, perhaps your own. And sunny days of leisure on the beach or in the surf, once taken, need never be returned. Stroll along the quiet beach need have no ending, and the still lagoon is always close at hand. For here, where trees blossom like the flowers, and flowers bloom the year around, time remains unchanged, still unchanged. Just closer to you now than ever is that other nearby world of beauty and adventure in the lovely islands of Hawaii.
The lady